Welcome back to another episode of Discovering Disruptions in Tech. We've got a great conversation planned today. We're going to dig into cloud cybersecurity, and I'm here this week with Loris, the founder and CTO of Sysdig. Hey Loris, how's it going?
This is going great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we are at, I don't know, what is this? Cloud Winter Camp versus Hacker Summer Camp?
A very crowded cloud winter camp.
It is very crowded, right? Our CEO went to the very first AWS Reignite and or reinvent. Reinvent. We're reinventing. We're not lighting ourselves on fire yet. But the very first one, which had like 2,000 people at it.
Yeah.
And now we're up to 60,000.
They were saying 70,000. I don't know the exact number, but that's what they heard. Yeah.
It's absolutely insane, right? Apparently, there's also a big marijuana conference, which I didn't expect.
In Vegas.
And in Vegas.
Okay.
Right? I mean, the second it became legal, we had to know that was going to happen here.
Sounds like it's more fun than...
sounds like there's some overlap in those audiences already, yes. But also the NPRs, or the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo is in town as well.
Okay. So it's an exciting week in Vegas.
It's a very exciting week, and it's a good week, right? The temperature is nice. It's lovely.
Beautiful.
You can walk around outside.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I live in Denver, so that's not really true of my home.
Yeah, I'm coming from California, so...
Oh, okay. So, it's kind of nice there.
Yeah, kind of nice there as well, yeah.
Right? You get a little chilly in Northern California, but it's not bad.
Can't complain.
It's not bad. So we were chatting a little bit before, and effectively what we determined was cloud solves all security problems, right?
And security solves all cloud problems.
Security solves all problems. Sure. So like there's this big movement in cybersecurity to talk and focus on cloud. And when we talk and focus on cloud, effectively what we're saying is you can't secure cloud the same way you secured on-prem.
That's correct. And that's mostly because the paradigms underpinning cloud computing are quite different from the on-prem ones. Just to give you an example, our threat research team did an analysis across our customer base last year. And what we found out is that attacks in a data center take days, weeks to execute.
Sure.
Actually, we found that on average, what we saw was like 21 days for attacks in the data center. While what we measured is in the cloud, on average, an attack lasts 10 minutes.
Wow.
And what's the reason behind that? The reason behind that is that the infrastructures and applications running in data centers were based on very heterogeneous stacks. And typically, when you were, first of all, you were entering through like poking a hole in a firewall or being able to, find a vector through the network to get inside.
Sure, but it's that vector through that firewall into that specific stack.
Exactly, and then once you're inside, you need to figure out what's there because it's different everywhere, quite different. And then lateral movement used to be largely network-based lateral movement, right? So try to, one way or another, first explore what's on the network, try to map, the topology, then try to traverse the network, reach, hop from point to point until you find something that is something valuable or that you can exploit. In the cloud, more or less, we are all running our applications in 3 or 4, you could say.
Sure, everyone has S3,
4 or 5,
everyone
exactly.
has the same kind of directory management, everybody has kind of the same,
user management works in the same way, infrastructures are managed in the same way, the APIs are the same APIs, the services are the same
Right,
services.
there's a tremendous amount of commonality, that's what makes the cloud work.
Exactly, so that's phenomenal for us, the developers of applications in the cloud, but it's also very good for attackers because at this point, everything is much more standardized. So you can do a couple of things. One is you can automate and script much more than you used to do before.
For sure.
So once you're inside, essentially very quickly, you have a battery of scripts that you can run, and these, try all the possible things for you. By the way, these possible things that an attacker tries, some are, S3 buckets, EC2 instances, the things that we all know and use all the time, and probably know how to protect quite well. But there's a bunch of stuff we don't even know it's there. You know, services. You know, there's hundreds of services on AWS. There's like I don't know. Our threat research team started detecting a few months ago that attackers now are pretty quick at identifying AI services like Bedrock on Amazon, this kind of stuff, you know, and their APIs. And if you have those enabled, they immediately target them because those are pretty valuable. So they can be, then they use this kind of stuff to do stuff like either exposing AI services to countries like Russia where they are banned, and so they cannot be used. So, for example, students in Russia pay, you know, like
sure, just like you would subscribe to a ChatGPT service, right? They're effectively,
web, you know?
Right, they're effectively leveraging you as
because ChatGPT is not really available there, but they still want to use it to do their homework,
for sure.
Or to do like adult content chats, all this kind of stuff, you know.
Sure.
So and this stuff can cost you a lot of money very quickly, you know, and you don't even know that maybe you have it enabled. So very standardized and very scriptable, and at the same time, lateral movement nowadays is identity.
Sure.
Right? So we used to move from asset to asset.
From IP to IP to
now
IP
what
to
we do is we impersonate, we elevate privileges, and that's how we gain access, you know, to like the crown jewels of somebody's infrastructure in the cloud. So all of these.
Well, we've seen some of this play out in real time, right? The Snowflake, as an example.
Yeah.
Right. There was a flaw found in that was completely. It's not a flaw necessarily in the code of Snowflake, but rather in how customers were implementing Snowflake over and over again. And some customers failed to put some security practices in place. Once the attackers found their way through that security flaw, they just basically went, cool, there's like 100,000 Snowflake customers, let's just bang on all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's effectively how this works, right? I find a flaw in a commonly used SaaS or cloud service, and then I just bang across all of the customers and see how many of them have enabled me to leverage that flaw.
And the other very common thing that you do is, especially in a big corporation, let's target every single person in that corporation with a phishing
for sure.
Email or something.
Yeah, it's effectively the same thing as phishing, but it's a little bit more automated, right? There's no person on the other end.
Exactly.
Phishing still works.
Let's convince them to click on this button, and then we're in, and we can do what we do. By the way, talking about phishing, another thing that makes modern attacks much faster is now this kind of stuff, like impersonating somebody else in a credible way, and AI can do it very well, you know? So automating and scaling this kind of credential targeting attacks is becoming much more viable for
well, especially because we've been told as leaders we're supposed to be public. Like we have a brand and we have to manage our brand, which also means we've armed attackers that have these AI tools with everything they need to impersonate us.
The phone book, essentially.
It's better than like a phone book just listed a name, an address, and a phone number. We've listed a name, an address, a phone number, a voice print, a video identity, a photograph, a writing style, right?
Yeah,
commonly used words like.
Exactly. So even imagine the typical spam message that you receive, you know, with the email that looks like your CEO or something like that. Now you can train, you know, an AI to.
You can even attach an audio file to it as though it's a virtual voicemail, the voice recording of your CEO saying, "Hey, John. I'm stuck in a meeting right now. Can you please go down and grab me some Apple gift cards? I'd like to reward some employees or a customer or whatever, and email me the codes." Right?
Yeah.
Like, at the same time, we really need to be a little smarter. Like, if your CEO doesn't routinely reach out to you to do that, you probably should know your CEO is not going to reach out to you to do that. And if your CEO commonly reaches out to you to do that, you know how that person reaches out to do that, and it's a commonplace thing. And there aren't any of those.
The problem is, you know, falling for these kind of attacks is pretty rare. But if you can count, if the attacker can count on, like, you know, scaling these.
Their
there's
percentage of
always somebody
failures.
hitting.
Yeah,
and
the percentage of failure is very, very high.
Exactly.
They don't need a lot of success to make it worth it, and there's more than enough success to make it worth it.
Exactly. I mean, in a cloud-based infrastructure, you just need one broken link. You just need one person with that gives you, like an account access, and then you're in. And then you take it from there, and again you script, and in a second you
I used to have a ton of fun finding open S3 buckets.
Yeah.
Right. Just finding the open S3 bucket was the point, not doing anything. Right. And you would just laugh and go, "Oh my God, here's another open S3 bucket. I wonder who that belongs to." And holy crap, look at the file names.
Yeah.
And there were thousands of those, tens of thousands of those. Right. It was like picking apples at an apple farm. There's an infinite number of apples to pick. Well, this was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't imagine that it has changed for those that are dedicated to doing this work.
Yeah, and what we do, as a cybersecurity company or threat research team, one thing that we do is we actually open these S3 buckets on purpose. And that's how we measure the speed of an attack, or we see what are the latest trends and this kind of stuff. Because sure enough, if you leave an open S3 bucket with some kind of sensitive information pointing to somewhere, in 30 minutes, somebody's already scanning it, and it's finding the information.
It doesn't matter if it's got sensitive information or not. Someone is scanning it.
Yeah, exactly.
It just may not have value to them if they don't see that it's sensitive information.
Yeah.
But they're scanning it. They're looking at it. They're reading it. They're trying to see what's there, and then they're really good at figuring out what the value of the leverage is that they gain from that information.
And doing that very, very quickly.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah. And it's becoming more and more sophisticated. I don't know if you heard about this incident I think it was in Hong Kong, where this guy was convinced to do a $25 million bank transfer.
Oh, I did see that.
On a Zoom call.
Yeah, I did see that.
With people in the Zoom call looking and speaking credibly, like colleagues that he knows, And yes, we were talking about having everybody's training data is there, in our social media accounts, in our getting a deep fake to look like you on a Zoom call and with your voice, it's not science fiction anymore, and we should expect more and more of this stuff. So even if you're trained and prepared for this kind of stuff, it's going to become harder and harder to not be fooled by this kind of stuff. And I mean, we're talking about security professionals or people that in their jobs are warned about. Imagine my grandma, or stuff like that. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be frightening. And if anybody is sitting at home right now going, "I don't think that's real. I don't think it can happen," think about the misinformation that people believe and echo and claim is real when you see it on the internet now. All AI is doing is spreading misinformation. Doesn't matter what the depth of the lie is.
Yeah.
The fact is, this stuff works. It's highly effective.
And again, it's easy to blame, people that fall for this kind of stuff, but sometimes,
we have all fallen for something that is false.
Exactly. Everybody's guilty,
Snopes.com wouldn't exist if we all didn't make the mistake of falling for things that were simply not true.
Exactly.
Right? How many times have you believed something for years that you were told as a kid as true, only to find out that, oh no, that was completely made up. That didn't actually happen. You have kids?
I have 3 kids, yes.
Okay, so every Halloween, parents inspect their kids' candy.
Yeah.
0 times has anyone ever put a razor blade in candy.
Yeah.
Right? 0 times has that ever happened. 0 times.
Not everybody believes it.
But everybody believes it.
Yeah.
Right? And we believe it because somebody once said it enough that somebody said it on the news, that somebody then spread the news story from news story to news story, and all of a sudden, this myth
it's real.
It's now real, and it's never been real. Right? So we all fall for these things.
Absolutely.
We just have to get much, much better at being critical.
Absolutely.
And we need tools that can help identify it.
Exactly. So now the question is, because for sure we're guaranteed that the bad guys, I was going to say will use these tools, but
they are using
these tools.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So now one of the questions, for example, is can we also leverage these tools to protect us and to uh, uh, make us more capable of discerning what's real and what's not real, even when it's maybe not trivial to do so.
Yeah, not trivial is an important piece to note. Is none of this is trivial.
Yeah.
Right. It's also really important to note attackers will always be first.
Yeah.
Right. Because the second somebody else is first, they don't use that vector. They find a vector where they're first. That's the whole goal.
The case. Yeah.
Right. So they will always be first.
There's competition in their market as well.
Correct.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's true, and we're seeing it here again. I'm part of a cybersecurity company. One thing that is pretty clear is that there is a trend toward trying to making the defenders more effective and more efficient by leveraging, AI whenever possible. And I'm firmly convinced that there are opportunities to, become, in general, more and more efficient at not only, let's say, not being fooled by scam, but at protecting our infrastructures, even in sophisticated ways, and in a way that is more scalable by using AIs.
For sure. So let's be clear. When we were talking about impersonation, when we're talking about phishing, most of the AI that we're talking about from the attacker side in that case is generative AI.
Correct.
Right. When we're talking about AI in defense, we are talking about generative AI. It does have some potential there to help us with defense, but we're talking about a massively wide gamut of artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence tools that we leverage to really help us from a defense side, right?
That's right. And also quite a long history. Gen AI is essentially something that happened and exploded a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So what is it? 2 years ago, when
exactly
ChatGPT-3 was released and the world, everybody was like, whoa. But in cybersecurity, machine learning, statistical techniques, clustering, all of this kind of stuff has been used for quite a bit. I was before becoming, the starting companies. I was in academia, and I remember.
Yeah, I mean, far more than 20 years.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it's like AI has been a reality for let's say 20 years.
Exactly.
Whereas ChatGPT has been a reality for 2.
What's happening now is, of course, these new LLM based approaches have an opportunity to be much less, let's say, statistical in nature and much more, let's say, complementing and simulating human behavior. So,
Sure.
For example, one thing that we are noticing is we released an AI assistant for our product called Sysdig Sage, and the places where it works very well is like stuff that maybe a human can do, but it takes time. Like I don't know, there's an attack. You have the different actions that have happened. You can see the command lines. You can see the different logs that have been generated, and it takes time and very often you invest time in looking at something that then ends up being either a false positive or something that's
something that's innocuous
and so on. So
Yeah.
being able to apply an AI to just solve this problem, do a basic triaging. It's like, okay, I still cannot trust an AI to tell me this is an attack you need to block immediately, you need to wake up at night. But the AI can be used to help you interpret, help you summarize, help you understand what's going on, and already start maybe with a summary and with a direction for your investigation, the kind of stuff. We're seeing excellent results by applying these techniques, and the beauty of this is that an AI doesn't need to sleep at night, so you can scale much better this kind of incident response, this kind of triage that before was very time consuming, and it was also relatively slow, and so it takes time, to respond to this kind of stuff.
For sure. One of the things that's interesting about AI is it's all math, right? And so one of the best things about that is all AI buried within it somewhere has a confidence level.
Yeah.
and giving you the ability to leverage, like if you take advantage of that confidence level, that's something that humans don't have.
Yeah.
Right? Humans have a false sense of confidence both directions.
Yeah.
Where AI does not. It is a true confidence level, right? And so being able to go, there's, the confidence that like this is not an attack and my confidence level is 72%.
Yeah.
Is really, really useful. So
Yeah.
starting to build into us this focus of like there are 735,000 alerts in my company every day.
Yeah.
Right? Let's focus on the ones where the AI says
Exactly.
my confidence level is 92% that this is the place
Yeah.
you need to focus. And then, okay, cool, we've got all the 90s and above. Cool. How about the 85s and above? How about the 80s and above, right? Let's it gives us the ability to really start putting our focus in the place where statistically it's going to have the most value. And these things are just going to improve, right? No matter how confident they are today, tomorrow they will be more confident, better tuned, better able to correlate, right? They will be better tools. They will never be worse than they are today.
Correct, and they're improving in different dimensions because the LLMs are becoming better and better every day. There's a new model that is released
almost every hour.
Exactly, that is better than the prior models. But us as an industry are gradually understanding, how to use this, where they are good, how to teach them. I was going to say how to program them, but it's more like teaching them, And there's prompting, there's fine tuning, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do, and they are good, all good for different purposes. But not only the models are becoming better, but we as humans are gradually learning how to talk to them, and how to get more out of them, which is very fascinating.
For sure. It's really interesting because I don't think people really understand the complexity of what you just said to a decently thorough level. Right? There are absolutely people that are listening that understood exactly what you meant, exactly how you meant it to a very thorough level. But within a traditional application, we know exactly what we put in and exactly what we will get out. It is 100% repeatable. If I put in 2 + 2, I will get 4 each and every time.
Yeah.
But GenAI is not built like that. If I ask the same prompt 15 times, I'm going to get 15 different results.
And I tell you, it's frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
Especially, we are building an AI-based tool, and once in a while you get that answer that is like, oh my god, this is phenomenal, and you ask the same thing another time, and it's like, this answer is much more mediocre.
But it's part of it's frustrating because you go, no.
Exactly.
Gave me the right answer before.
I always want that answer there.
Prompt. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Right?
So it's changing, but it's.
But it is important. It is important that we are not programming; we are teaching.
Yeah. So now the problem, when developing software. The problem was like building the application, the UI, and so on. Now, I always use the example. I've been writing software my whole life, and when I was in middle school, I remember the magic. When I was in elementary school, middle school, in BASIC with the Commodore 64, and you were typing your program, and the computer was doing something, was just respecting your will,
right,
and doing something. The magic
you
of
feel like the master of the universe.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
Just writing a program and the power of seeing the execution on the screen, And I felt the same the first time I prompted an LLM to integrate it with the API of our product, and it's like you just write instruction in natural language, high-level instruction. This is the API. This is the endpoint. This is what I expect you to do. This is how you use this API. Go.
Right.
And then you start conversing with this thing and asking questions. And I don't know, what is the most critical event in this Kubernetes namespace today? I didn't teach the AI anything about this cluster, about Kubernetes, but I just gave it an API and some high-level instructions, but it could ask that question, and it was answered correctly by doing a query and interpreting the data, getting the data as JSON, interpreting it, and give me, a meaningful response that...
it's like having a college intern.
Yeah, but just the magic of seeing the result, and it's different because you don't program anymore, you prompt, but you need skills, to get out what you want. And so what I was saying before, like I need this answer. You need to essentially figure out what is the best way to give instructions to this entity to get the results that you want. And there's a lot of magic there, and there's a lot yet that we have to learn to make this really, really effective.
For sure, for sure. So, for the audience watching this, right, end user customers that are trying to figure out what do I do tomorrow with the budget that I'm giving and the resources that I have in my organization, what are like the 3 things that you would say they should really start focusing on to prepare their organizations for this kind of AI-enabled, cloud-forward future?
I would say, first of all, start investing right away. Don't wait. There are efficiencies. There are efficiencies that will make you more competitive, and if they don't make you more competitive because you decide not to take advantage of these efficiencies, your competitors will take advantage of these efficiencies.
Okay, I like that one. I mean, AI is not a fad. It is here to stay.
No.
It is not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
We're already seeing tremendous, massive potential. So you really can't put your head down and go, well, this is just a fad that's going to go away, so I'm just going to duck until it passes.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's a silly example, but I was talking with our head of sales, and we were talking about AI in general and so on, and I was telling him, now I sort of get annoyed very often, like our sales team asks me to maybe write an email for a customer, for a partner or something like that, and they give me like a pre-written or something, and if I see if I get something that contains like a mistake or
a typo or a common grammatical error, I'm
annoyed nowadays because it's just like throw it in ChatGPT, ask it to fix your English, and then give it to me. It costs 0. And if you don't do it with me, that means that you also don't do it for communication with our customers. Right. And we should
be better.
Exactly.
Right? The tools are easy. The tools are commodities.
Because it is the same thing when I don't know, I see a developer in our company that is still not using one of the coding assistants.
Sure.
Is like, yes, I know that you could be like philosophically opposed to this, but the reality is that I'm not saying that all of your code should be written by an AI, because that's not possible. It's not going to work. But there are efficiencies, that you achieve by using this kind of stuff. So I think that part of the investment, if you are a leader of a company, is just making sure that you are embracing this kind of stuff and not opposing it. But part of the investment, in my opinion, is just making sure that also your team is embraces it universally, and that means incentivizing them, teaching them, and making them comfortable with using this technology.
For sure. It also means embracing the failure.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Coding assistants are a great example.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to create code
bugs,
that doesn't work. They're going to create bugs. They're going to create security flaws. Right? But working with the tools means embracing the failure, working through the failure, learning how to build those tools.
Yes.
Because they are going to get better, and you're going to learn how to properly question as you move forward. It's going to make everyone better.
Yeah. And at the same time, again, I'm a cybersecurity professional, so use them, but make sure that they are used in a way that is managed, that is controlled. Like one thing that I'm seeing across our customer base that is very common is shadow AI, right?
Oh,
so people enabling it, both as end users. So people just like, okay, I'm just going to use this chat bot because it helps me, but also in applications. It's very easy now to start a service and to plug it into an AI, maybe something that you're developing. It's important to control this. It's important to have the right inventory. It's important to have, you
need the right governance, you need the right controls, you need
governance
the
and,
right checks and balances, you need the right security.
and always security starts from visibility, So make sure that you have the right tools to understand what people are doing, so that you can intercept this kind of stuff, and you can work with your team instead of being in the dark.
Right. And your corporate policy can't be AI is no.
I mean,
It can't be. Every vendor
you are
that you buy
doomed.
software
You are
from
doomed.
is integrating AI.
Exactly.
Therefore, every piece of software you own in the next 2 years will violate that policy.
Exactly.
It can't be the policy. That is effectively the policy of growth is no.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Evolution is no. Development is no. Like you can't do that.
Competitiveness is not.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Because your competitors are going to use and leverage AI, and they're going to make money with it, and they're going to be disruptive with it, and they're going to be faster than you if your answer is AI is no.
Exactly.
Sure, they're going to have bumps in the road, but they'll be so far ahead of you, you'll never catch up.
And they're learning
Correct.
while they're sitting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is a lot to think about. The beauty of this is I think we've given people a great kind of place to go, but I'm certain we're leaving them with more questions than we've answered because it's a very short podcast. So for people, when they come up with those questions, how do they get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Well, my company is Sysdig, so Loris at Sysdig, and you find me as Loris Degioanni on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you name it.
Okay. Well, that is fantastic. If they want to see you in person, you're here at reInvent.
I'm reInvent, yeah, for the whole week.
You're going to be at RSA in the spring and Black Hat in the summer.
Sysdig, my company has a booth here at reInvent, has a booth at RSA, at all of the conferences. So just go to the Sysdig booth, ask of Loris, and
awesome,
and they'll get me.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been another episode of Discovering Disruptions in Tech. I really hope you enjoyed it. I get a ton out of these, and I hope you do too. If you have questions or comments, please reach out and follow, subscribe, and we'll see you on our next episode. Thank you.